Hi all, I'm Nicole, and my best friend betrayed me. Whatever happens, happens, that's true, but her betrayal had almost ruined my entire life. When Judy and I were kids, we weren't even friends, to be honest. We just studied in the same class and almost never communicated all throughout elementary school. But when we got transferred into middle school, both of us ended up in the same class with no other former classmates around. We knew nobody there except each other. That's why we banded together. In a few years, our forced friendship turned into a real one. Judy became my first and very best friend. We shared all of our secrets and spent a lot of time talking about all sorts of things. I remember we even used to do our homework together. It was so much faster that way. But then there was a certain competition, and everything went downhill from there. At the time, we were almost high schoolers. It was our last year in middle school, and I really wanted to get into university early. Yet my chances were slim, even after 2 years in high school. I could become a university student, you see, but my parents, well, they couldn't afford it. And then there was a very special competition dedicated to this rare event. Each of the competitors had to present his or her own project, defend it, and receive a score for a future university application. And the winners received free places at various prestigious colleges and universities. Such competitions are often held exclusively for math classes, where every pupil is a huge nerd. Yet this competition was a free-for-all, and I felt lucky to be able to participate. I was not really into math, you see, yet foreign languages and literature were totally my things. Judy and I met face-to-face when it turned out that both of us chose foreign languages as a preferred area of study. At least we weren't rivals. I aimed for Dutch, while Judy's focus was Spanish. The competition included a number of tasks. First of them was an essay, or even just a small story written in a previously chosen language. Then each of us had to write a test, and the final round concluded with a live discussion with a native speaker. So both of us started frantically writing. We knew that the competition's winner received a free education at any university of his or her choice, even abroad. The stakes were so high. As always, Judy and I worked on the first task together. Both of us understood that the essay thing was pretty serious business, so we didn't tell anything about the plot of our essays to each other. Of course, we discussed some points and even laughed at some moments, but that was it. I was the one who finished with that task first. I did think about waiting for Judy, but then decided that I didn't want to waste any more time. I submitted my work to the competition committee and moved on to the next task. And when I was done with all of the tasks, I just waited for the final results to be published. And then a true miracle happened. On the day the results were announced, my mother and aunt came to school with me to provide some extra support. Instead of helping me to cope with the defeat, they were there to congratulate me. It was decided that I was the sole winner of the competition. I had won. And, judging by the scores, my work was the very best indeed. I felt so happy. They gave me all the papers, published my essay in the school newspaper, and even got a souvenir photo with our headmaster. That was the happiest day of my life. I'm embarrassed to say I was so overjoyed I even forgot to call Judy and ask about her score. Well, she told me everything the next day by herself, and not in a very good manner. My classmates were congratulating me on the victory when Judy stormed into class and started yelling at me. According to her, I was a thief and a fraud, and she was disqualified because of my trickery. I was shocked by her behavior, and I couldn't really understand what was going on. When they finally calmed Judy down, they brought both of us to the headmaster and told me what this all was about. It turns out that Judy got disqualified and accused of plagiarism. You see, our essays were almost identical, and she was telling everyone that it was my fault. Of course, no one actually believed her, yet I still felt so hurt. Judy and I were friends, best friends after all, and now she was trying to accuse me of her own problems? But still, she never actually stopped accusing me, even now, even though the competition committee proved that she was wrong. From then on, Judy hated me and did everything she could to bring me harm. She even brought her accusations to our local newspaper, and the newspaper editors made an article all about it. It was Judy's most successful attempt to ruin my life, and she almost fully succeeded. Due to that article full of lies and gossip, some people thought that I was to blame and that I was a thief and a horrible person. I tried to explain myself, but everything only got worse. Because of that stupid article, people believed that Judy's accusations were true and started to harass me. Some wrote me letters wishing me death and demanding me to surrender my victory to Judy, and a few even started stalking me. Somehow I overcame that nightmare and didn't surrender my victory, and soon the crowd's attention turned to some other topic. All but Judy and some of her friends forgot about our feud. And when the time was due, I got on a plane and flew far away to Germany to study at one of the country's oldest universities. I still have no idea where Judy ended up. For several years straight, I was the victim of her lies. Yet I hold no ill will towards her. I sincerely wish her to be successful and to have her dreams come true.
I'm Judy, and this is a story about the greatest disappointment in my life. Because of that, I know for sure, you just can't trust anyone, even your closest friends. You see, I really considered Nicole my closest friend. I even told her my greatest wish. I dreamed to move to Europe and become a famous author. I started writing novels when I was just a schoolgirl, and I knew I had a talent for that. Even our literature teacher told me that I had a great future. But at one moment, Nicole decided to act as a copycat. She was sure that she could too become important and famous by writing stories. Well, she called those essays and even novels. But in fact, those were just crude fanfics and nothing more. You see, Nicole was never that much into literature. Her highest grade in the subject was a B-, and that's only because our teacher took pity on her. So at first, I decided that my friend was joking by faking my achievements. Well, I was always a kind girl, so instead of becoming angry, I was actually glad. It's always good when you have more things in common with your friends, isn't it? So I decided to help Nicole with her writing. I was her voluntary editor. I told her how to write, what metaphors to use, how to make a plot, how to build characters, and so on and so forth. I had really high hopes for that competition. If I won, my greatest dream would be close to becoming reality. Some publishers might have noticed me and maybe allowed me to publish my works. I was so excited that I didn't suspect a thing when Nicole offered to work together on the first task. Well, we were already used to making home tasks together, so there's that. It was so foolish of me to discuss my essay with Nicole. I've told her not only about the small details, I've actually told her about the plot of my work. Well, don't forget, I considered her to be a trusted friend after all. Besides, the discussions were often quite useful. You never know what new ideas you get from those. Somehow, Nicole managed to finish her work first. At the moment, I was even proud of her. I was sure that the lessons I taught her weren't in vain, but in reality, she submitted her work first, so that I would never be able to prove to the committee that she stole my ideas. And I never suspected anything until they summoned me to the principal. The members of the committee disqualified me, accused me of plagiarism, and prohibited me to enter similar competitions ever again. And they showed me Nicole's work as proof. I was genuinely shocked. It was my work. It was the concept on which I spent several years. All the details, all the characters, all the plot twists. Everything got blatantly stolen. I felt as if my life's work was taken from me. I was literally devastated. Nicole never even cared to change the names of my characters. Our works had only a couple of differences, and those were the details and plot hooks I made after Nicole submitted her work, and we stopped our cooperation. I tried to prove that I was right. I showed the committee my phone notes that I made years before the competition, but no one believed me. I was kicked out. That's how Nicole was declared the winner of the competition with my work. And that's what you call justice? Of course I took my revenge. I never pitied my former friend. I actually took joy in people harassing her, haunting her, telling her to die in disgrace. Well, at first, I kinda hoped that she confessed her guilt and surrendered her win to me. Of course I was wrong, because Nicole had no shame, so I just enjoyed the true justice. Now, I finally became successful. Soon after I graduated from school, I made a contract with a publisher, and they've recently published my third book. So now I'm pursuing my career as an author and concurrently studying at the university. It's not the university of my dreams, yet it's a very respectable one. And I'm still sure that Nicole's horrible actions will hit her one day. What do you think of this story? Who's lying to us and who's telling the truth? Like the video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. We've got more great stories for you.